Hello. Okay, I can see nobody is there. No, there are 5 there. Very good. Welcome. 2 minutes before the start, so we have 11. Hello. Okay, I can see nobody is there. No, there are 5 there. Very good. Welcome. Okay, I'm broadcasting it to YouTube, so maybe you can hear me twice, but now I just disabled that one, but you can also access it on YouTube. There will be a slight delay on YouTube, but we'll see how that will go. We don't need it for this webinar, but it's good when you have a larger audience, huge number, and you want to reach everybody, then you can put it on YouTube or Facebook. So you become live on YouTube or Facebook. There should be a delay between the 2 sessions. One, the Zoom, one is the YouTube. Zoom allows me to do that. So I can select where I want it to be broadcasted, and then it will broadcast it. Have Facebook and YouTube. I think the other one which they're working on adding, which is really great. Okay, we'll wait. No, we will not wait. I think we are already there. So welcome to the 27 who joined, and others keep coming. I think we'll get everyone in place. I have the names of the people who are online, and also I get a report of who really attended, how many minutes they spent. It's really nice. These Zoom webinars are good. Okay, let's go ahead and start our session. I will just share screen and go through the PowerPoint presentation. Then we'll have an activity to do. We have a small exercise for you. Just some announcement. Next week, we will not have the webinar because in CSAC, we have many common exams similar to FOA, but coursework FOA, if you can call them. We call them CCWA, and they're happening next week on Thursday afternoon. So most people are busy with proctoring and arranging for that. So you'll have a week off, but really there's nothing a week off. We'll have an assignment to do for 2 weeks, and I think it's exciting assignment. Will help you to practice and put together the things that you learn during these 3 weeks of webinars. Moving ahead, this is what we learned last time, what we covered last time. We talked about functions, and we said function is basically grouping your code into a group, and then you give it a name, and you use that name later to call that functions multiple times. And that function usually does a certain operation. Now we have looked at some functions like drawing a triangle, drawing a square, drawing a shape. Today we'll look at other functions that we will create, will help us do some processing. Function will take parameters and sometimes return a value. We'll look at that in details. Why we need it, there are a number of reasons why we need it. One is manage large code. You have a big code and you get lost. Where are you? And become complicated. And if you have a group working on the same project, each one taking a part of the project, it becomes very difficult unless you start using functions, things like that. You can reuse the code. Once you created a draw shape, you can call it a million times without need to write the function again and again. And as you see, there are some functions are very long and takes, if you repeat it again, it will make the code messy. It will improve the code testing. As yes, if you test, you have functions, you can focus on one function and you do some change of parameters or doing some other things to check if that function is doing what it's supposed to do. Abstractions, again, is another important aspect of it. When you deal with a function, you don't need to know what that function is really in terms of inside, what code written there and how many lines and what it does. You need to know what it does for you what data you need to provide to that function in order to perform what's supposed to perform. But you don't need to know the details inside that functions. And you can see we're using interval T forward, for example. T forward is a huge function, but we don't know what's written inside. We don't care even sometimes to know what's written inside, but we know what it does for us and what it needs from us to provide in order to do that for us. How to declare a function? We looked at it. We said def is the keyword that you use. It should be a lowercase d, not uppercase. Python is case sensitive. And Python is sensitive animal. So it's a sensitive, so case sensitive, lowercase, uppercase are different. So, and then you come with a function name, then you'll have a bracket. This bracket, you can put a variable inside or without a variable, it depends on your function. Then the colon that says this is the start of our function. And then how you call it, you basically use the same name you have here and then provide a value for that one. Here you have a variable and here you have a value. For example, in our example, we said L here, and later when we did call it, put 100. So when you call, you provide data to the function, but when you declare it, you put a variable to store that data. And so this is where we do it. And this example, we put 200 as a value, 150 and so on. I noticed there are some people still a little bit confused about the function from the exercise. Small number really, and they also getting it after some time. So I said, let's little bit spend some time talking about the functions, and then we will move to the next thing we want to do today. So you look at a function like a box or an object that really maybe you don't know what inside it. If it's function that you are using from another library or someone else created it, maybe you don't know what it is. But if you create it yourself, you know inside what are really the code, yeah? But this function takes input. Most of the function takes input, but there are some functions do not need input, and we looked at examples last time from that game, which we looked at it. So it takes input. So for example, if there's a function I pass to it 67, and I get as a return C minus, I start to think this function seems doing something to do with grades, yeah? So you take a mark, and that mark, which is percentage, convert it to a grade. And today we will create a function that take a mark from and convert it to grade. So if you're grading your student, you want to know what they will score, and instead of looking at the table or remembering it, you just use that code, enter the mark, you get the grade. And then you can use it to do GPA, you can use it to do other things, yeah? So this function, we can call it get grade. Basically, it takes a mark as a value or as a variable, and then it does some process and come with the grade. So the function, we can call it def get grade, and it takes a parameter mark. Okay, so this function can do some process, we don't know what that process, and then it does return. Function like this one will return the value. We know the first function we used last time, draw a shape, did not return anything. But this function will return a grade, which C. Now, so it should have the keyword return with lowercase, and it should be at the right level as the F. Yeah, so basically this function will give us something after it does the process. And we will see how we can use this data coming from that function and display it on screen or do something with that. So that function that receive a number and return a grade. Now, as we said, we have other function like, for example, this forward. We don't know, do we really know what inside that function? How many line of codes? It's a very efficient function that move object for you from, I can see someone raising his hand. I'll come back to you in a second. Just I'll finish this one, I'll come back to you. Do we know? We don't know. Sometimes we don't need to know, but this forward is a complicated function. It uses so many other functions to draw that line on the screen, but we're just using it, okay? What do we know about this function? We know it just draw a line on the screen going forward. If the turtle is facing right, it will draw 100 points right. If it's facing up, it will draw 200 up or with a certain angle. That's what we know about it. And that's important for us to know. And there are millions, billions of functions in Python. So that's what we know about it. Do we need to know how it does that? Yes, if we are software engineer and others, we need to know that. But for users, we don't need to know. Does it return any value? No, it doesn't return, but it does an action. It does a process or a function. So it does something without returning a value to us. There are other functions, for example, this one we will use today, called input. This input allows the user to enter data and it store it in a variable here. I'm using the variable mark here. So mark is the variable. And if you use input and open bracket and then you write any text here, any text you like, there's no restrictions on it, and then close the quotation and then start close the column. This function will prompt you on the screen to enter the data. And the data you enter will be basically text. Whatever data you enter, it will treat it as a text. So this function allows the user to enter data through the keyboard. And then the data will store in mark. You can replace mark by X, Y, Z, anything you like. It's up to you. This is a variable, you decide what you call it. And nobody will restrict you to anything. But once you use it here, in the rest of the code, you need to use the same thing you created here, and you don't call it something else in that. So that's basically take it mark. Now, this function, even if you enter a number there, it will return it as a text, or what we call it string, which is text. So you cannot do normal operations, numbers operations on that data, can't you? It comes like a text. But Python has something useful that allow you to convert the text to integers or to float or to whatever. And one thing Python is flexible about it is these variables. You can declare a variable like a text, and later you treat it like a number, or you treat it like a list, or you treat it like a dictionary. You can change. In other languages like Java and others, once you declare it one thing, then you have to stick to that one thing which you're using. But here you can do a lot of things with it. So there are two functions that we can use, one called int, one called float, that will help us convert this data entered by the user into numbers. If you want a decimal point, for example, 67.9, then you need to go with the float. If you want a whole number, integer, then you go with int. And in terms of grade, float better. So if you say mark equal int mark, now basically this will convert the original mark into integer and store it in mark. From now on, mark is became a number, integer number. And you could do the same thing, mark equal float mark, so that converting it to float. And from now on, we can do that. So that's a quick summary of functions, and with little bit more details. We learned today passing variables, returning values, and we looked at converting, getting input from the user from the keyboard and converting it into numbers. We have a competition. Before I do that, I can see someone raise hand, and Hamad, are you sharing your screen. I am not seeing anything. I am sharing screen, isn't it? Others, do you see my screen? Say something in the chat if you're not seeing my screen. But I think you're seeing it. It seems to be there's something with someone having a problem. Yeah, everybody is saying yes, can see the screen. I think maybe I am on your screen, but there is a bag in the background of another file or another window. But it seems that others are seeing it with no issue there. So now getting ready for the competition, get your mobile ready. I want to see your participation in this competition, and then we will continue because it's important to help us to do the next step in our today class. Yeah. So we'll stop sharing, then I'll open the other window and then I will share. Where is the other window? It's here. Again, if you're not seeing me on this, you can go to the YouTube link, which I put in the chat, and you can see the same thing. It's running now on YouTube. Okay, jump to share screen again. I know you are excited to see the competition. So you need to go into menti.com and use this number. While you do that, I will look at people who are saying something in the chat. I will bring the previous screen later. Don't worry, it will come back and you will see everything. That's the YouTube link for those who cannot see. Now I can see there are people coming online, and how many of you? 20 there, 22. The number today is 54. So let's see how many of that 54 will come. 30, 31, 33. Now you are familiar with this software, menti.com, so you should be able to join quickly. This thing, it can handle for this exercise of competition, it can take up to 100 people. But if you go with the normal thing, you can go up to 2,000. So it should take you with no issue into this. Okay, so just go there. Maybe others are facing problems. Someone joined and then left and then joined. I can see those nice hats. Now I hope you put your name, so when you win, you will know you win. Not something strange. Okay, we're moving now to the next, and you will get a question. Now, let's see what the question is. Okay. You ready? Countdown. You read the question and you answer. There are 3 places that correct, yeah? So the question saying, which of the following names has a letter S in the first name or D in the last name? F in the first name or D in the last name. So here, Samitha has S in the first name, so that's correct. Sinan has S. Okay, and Sharon has S. Hamad also has D in the last name because say or D in the last name. So the one with D is also correct. So there are 4 of them. So it should be S in the first name or D in the last name. So if someone with D, if any one of the 2 conditions, there are 2 conditions. One saying if the first name has S or the last name has D. So any of the 2 conditions, because it's or, it will be correct. Okay? So I see someone saying something in the chat. we. Okay, so you first, yeah, you press the first name, I jumped out. Is that true? Well, that true, it's my mistake. Maybe just wait a second. Stop sharing. The setup maybe I did was not right. But let's me go back to it. Give me a second. I think you hope you are already registered there. So, okay. Second one. Oh, strange. Okay. Just wait for me. Okay. So you just want to make sure it takes multiple answers. Yeah, it takes multiple answers. That's fine. I think it was correct. Setup was correct. Now let's go back. There's one question I missed at the beginning. Sorry for that. Let's go first with the first question. Now I will share screen in a second. You will get another question. It's right. The setup is right according to that. It should not jump unless you just press submit quickly after you did that. Now we have another question coming now. I can see you are all there. 37. Let's go in. It's 38. Okay, 39. Good. Thank you for those joining, but you're a little bit late. So here is another question. Which of the following names has the letter M in the first name and H in the last name? Okay, I think the result will come on the screen now. Okay, so H in the first name and M in the first name and H in the last name. So Samita has S, has M and has H, correct. And Sinan, S and H, correct. Sinan does not have M, it should be M, yeah? Sinan does not have M. Imad has M and H, correct. Hamad has M and H, correct. So only 3 people went into this. Now okay. Everybody having problem with this or still not able to click one more than one? Is that true? Everyone not able to do that? It only takes one answer. Oh, that's stupid. Why? Yes, that's an issue for everyone. Yes, it can click. Oh, okay. Sorry. Thank you. It's clear. I think something on my setup. Sorry for that. Let's go back to it. I fix it hopefully now. I will clear all the data. You have the advantage. You have seen the answers, but let's see if you are able still to do that even you know the answer. Seems that the setup I did was not correct. It should allow more than one answer. I can't understand why it's not allowing you to take more than one answer, because my settings say it allows to take more than one answer. It allows to take more than one answer. I think it seems that you click and you just jump into, I don't know what's happening there, but it allows you to take more than one answer. According to the setting here, it seems allowing to take more than one answer. It should. Sorry for that, but we're going to do the last time we do this, and then we'll see. Setup seems to be fine, team. I don't know why. Is everybody having this problem? Say yes, 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 yes. Jump, all of you. You're not allowed to take more than one answer. Is that true? Okay, repeat. Sorry for that. Get it again, and then we'll go to the next step. I will understand now if that's true. I will see who's the winner. Now you're getting the question. I like that many people already there. But it seems you click you need to click more than one, then you, maybe I should join from my phone to and participate and win. Okay, so again back, we know now this one is correct. The 30 people selected Samita because it has M and H. Now let's go and see who was the winner. Still no. We'll go to the next one, countdown. I think I jumped the question. Mentimeter. 7. I'm trying to join. 79923. Okay. Oh yes, you're right. You can choose only one. I can see that. Yeah, I can see that now. It's not really. Maybe you can press and hold. Maybe. Yeah. Let's go to the next question and see what's your name. My name is Hamid. Okay. I'm not going to participate. Just I want to see how it goes. Okay, countdown. Now getting ready. Now you get so many questions. Does it? If I click. This is good. This is easy, yeah? Okay, so this, you know, the grading system of HCT, based on the HCT grading system, if someone scores 72, what that will be? Yeah? 72 comes C. Very good. Now, C is the answer. Okay, let's see the next one. Get ready, 40 now. Oh, good. Because I joined. Here is the grading system on the screen. I hope you see it there. Now, if you get in the HCT system 83, okay, it is 38. People said that, which B, and some people, two said C plus. 83 C plus. Okay, could be. Okay, we'll go to the next, show the board. That's the one I can see who is the winner. Now, so far, I can see it's getting there. Steve is ahead, and you have a chance. So Steve has 3,665 points. And there is difference around 115, yeah? So let's see who will be next. Okay, you are there, 93, let's see. Count down and you will get one more question. Okay, 75, what does 75 comes? You can see it in the background here, yeah? Somewhere 75, it's there. If you look at the screen, you'll find the answer on the screen. Just trying to help others to win, Steve. Okay, so let's see who is now there. Steve is still ahead. Okay. Let's see the final result. And we can see Steve is the winner in that competition. Now, just the first questions, I don't know why the setup was not right, but we'll look at it next time and we'll find out how it goes. Now, you notice the idea of this exercise is look at conditions or selections of data based on data. So for example, when you look at the C grade has a range between this and that. So if the mark is within that range, then you get C. And in programming, what they call it, programming logic, mostly is related to the if statements and for loop and data related. So we will look at this one now in more details. So let's go back to, sorry, I don't need this one. This is the first schedule. You don't want to see the first schedule. Let's go back here. So we're talking about conditions. So we have a condition here, which asking a question, is something meeting that condition? If it meets the condition, that the answer is yes or true. If it doesn't meet, it's no or false. So the way you write condition in Python, you just say F, open bracket, then the condition you have. And the condition can be X equal 5, or gray mark is more than this and less than this. We'll look at it in a details. Now, if the answer is yes or true, in the Python is true, the word true is used to say that condition is true, then you do a process. That process can be anything. Yeah, can be 1 line, million lines, you do a process. You can call other functions. You do certain things when that condition is true. And your process should start right below the F, not really on the same line. You should indent your process inside. So you can say this is belong to the F statement when it is true. Yeah. Now, if it is not really true, condition is not met, it's false, then you use something called else. And else, important to start on the same line as the F. Should not be indented inside. If it goes inside, it's not part of the F, it's part of this new process. So it be on the same line, and that's a mistake people sometimes do, and later you will find you'll do that mistake. It should be fine because you learn from that one. So it has to be on the same line as the F, and that's, I stress that and I repeat it. So in that case, you do another process, and this process again should be the same level as the previous process because it belongs to the else statement. And then once that's finished, you jump into the remaining of your code, which is the next process, the next thing. I think most people are familiar with flowchart, and a student I would expect and they will understand somehow. But building that concept of getting to understand the structure of the selection or a condition, starting from having an if statement with a condition and then a process to do. And if case that process, that condition is not met, there is something called else and you do another process. Now, sometime if that condition is not met, there is another condition you apply. So we'll come to that one and we will see that example. Okay, so let's move to the next one, which we're talking about. If a condition 1 is there and met, you do a process. Now, if that condition is not met, I need to put another condition. Yeah, not only jump to else directly, I need to put another condition. So in this case, I can use in Python something called ELF, else F. Else F means the first condition is not met. Now I need to apply condition 2 and see if that condition 2 is met. If it's met, fine, do the process. If condition 2 also not met and I have no condition 3, then in that case I use else to go and do the process. So you're starting from a condition, met, you do a process. If that not met, you put another condition. And then if it's met, fine, not met, you go else. Now, if you have a third condition, you just add it below that one. And fourth, fifth, at the end, you need to have else. That in case nothing did really work, all those conditions are not met. In that case, this is what we're going to do. and then you continue your process. One thing more before we jump to an example of using this is we need to talk about something called while loop. We have seen the for loop, which start from a certain number to a certain number. So the for loop is good when you want to repeat something number of times that you know. You want it to be repeated 100, 200. I know how many times I want it to be repeated. And you do that. But if you don't know, you repeat something on a condition. If that condition is met, you repeat it. Not met, you leave the loop and continue your program. This case, you use while. And a good example of while in user entering data. User can continue entering data. Now wanted to quit, maybe he or she can press Q to quit entering data, or maybe enter a different number. And that's one thing. In the gaming, the same thing. The object keep moving until hit another object. Once it hit another object, it goes out. So while it didn't hit the enemy, it will continue moving around. Yeah. So the while allow the loop to continue until the condition is not met. Condition is not met, you go out. And this is the way you write it. While, and you put the condition inside, and then column. And then you do processes 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. So these 3 processes will be repeated until something change, make this condition is different. And then it will break. Now you get into infinitive loop. You don't do anything to change the condition. It continues forever. And you need to find a way to do it, okay? Now let's come to an example of our grading system. So we need to create a function today to help us converting a mark to grade. And the example we're using here is, this is our current existing grading system. If I say there is a grade 85, what it is, I usually, as a human, we will jump to where it is here and say, oh, it's somewhere here, it's B+. But the process actually starts from the top or from the bottom here. Check first, is that mark more than or equal 90 and less than 100? Is it within this condition? No, the answer is no. This 85 is not between 90 and 100. So I'll go to the next one. It's not really, else if. Go until I find it here. I find it, just I jump, leave the loop and go and do something else. So in Python language, we write a function like this. It looks long, but it's just nothing. It's just repeating the same thing. So let's jump from the beginning and look at this function. Look at the chat and then, okay. Now, fine, I can see that. Okay, so the function name here we use the name getGrade. Okay, again, remember, no space, should not start by a number. Don't use special characters, that means special thing for Python. So we just use getGrade. And usually the way I write the function, I start by a lowercase for the action, get, and uppercase for the process, yeah, whatever I want to achieve. And I stay consistent with that. So I remember in my mind, this is the way, even without looking at the code, I get a sense of what should be that function. And you need to develop skills, or students also need to develop a consistent way of naming their functions. And that's one way of that. So this one receive a variable called mark, and that's the variable. And then starting from here, if grade is more than or equal 90. You notice that I ignore the 100 because in my assumption, no grade should be more than 100. I hope my assumption is right. But anyway, even if it's more than 100, at the end, it will get what? It will get A, yeah? So that's one thing, but you could have add here and mark less than or equal 100. You notice here there are more than and equal. This is the way you write it. If you put the equal before, it will not work. If you say equal more than, will not work. It has to be like this, more than, equal. It means more than or equal. 90. Then if that's the case, the grade is A. The other one, if it's not, then else F, mark more than or equal 87 and less than 89. I now use the word and here. Now in Java and C, there are different way to do it. In other languages, in Python, you can use and, the word and, or lowercase will do the condition. Now here, there are two conditions here. One, it is more than or equal 87, and the other one less than or equal 89. If both are true, the answer is true. This is the difference between and or. And means both are true, you get true, or one of the two, either this or that. And we know it. I heard the challenge I had with that software, which did not allow you to choose more than one answer, was really bad, but it could have illustrated you and give me an idea if this logic is easy to understand. But we'll do some further testing on it and see how it works. Okay, so if it is more than or equal and less than or equal, so that's it. Then goes to the second condition and continues that way, going down until the last one that has no hope for anything. Yeah, which else? Yeah, and else in this case is anything below that. So the answer will be F for that grade. Now, after doing all these things, I get here return grade. Yeah, and return grade should be on the same line as the def, the else. Yeah, it should not go down here. If I started here, then I'll have an issue with the return grade. And grade is a new variable now that will return those data, one of those things. I can see someone saying something in the chat. I'll just open it quickly. Okay. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Could you put space like F? Yes, you can. Yeah. If you want to have a space between F and mark, you can. If you want to add a space here, you can. If you want to ignore those brackets also, you can. But that's the process I'm familiar with. I always repeat using those brackets. You still can do that. Yeah. You will try this now when you get into the coding, and you will make some mistakes. Now, because if I use int for the mark, then it will be has to be integer numbers. But I can't remember what I used in my code now. But when I go back, I'll see what I used. Okay, now these are some of those comparison operators when you compare things. If you want to compare two things, you need to make sure they are equal. Yeah, they are equal to each other. You cannot use just single equal. You need double equal, equal. Because single equal means you're assigning a value to that variable. But if you compare, you need to have two equals, equal. If something is not equal, and I don't know why I didn't put example here, if something is not equal, this is the way to do it for something not equal. This is greater than, this is less than, this is greater than equal, less than and equal. Yeah. Okay, I think we're done with that. Let's get into our exercise. By now, you should have something appear on your REBEL, an assignment to do this exercise. It should be in your REBEL. I'll stop sharing so you can look at your REBEL. In REBEL now, you will get something there. So you go through it, and it's basically creating this exercise. Instead of wasting your time and I go and type and do things, I have the complete solution here, and we'll do some testing on it. Then you go to your REBEL and practice it. So back here, this is the full solution. Now the error here, I used int here, but we'll see. Now when I run this code, it will not appear in the drawing side. Today there is no drawing. I was hoping to do a game for you on drawing, but I said leave it today. At least today we start doing something different. We'll come back to drawing and those stuffs sometime later. So when you run it, it will appear here. Yeah, in this place. So if I stop this one and run, then it will appear there. Enter the mark. And I see the mark, for example, as 67. So I'm getting C minus. And it keep going around. I put 89. It continues. Yeah. I put 54. Yeah. It continues. Yeah. Now, if I want to stop it, I said I can put a negative value, -1. Now it stops. Now, how that is done? Done through here, this code. Let's minimize this and get this code maybe a little bit bigger. And